We weren't recording. We weren't recording.
We're not recording
It's
before.
Fine. It's fine.
But we are recording now.
Are we?
I don't know. You tell us if we're recording this, because if it is, then it's a video and you're leaving a comment right now and also thumbing this
You're also
video
thumbing it up. You're also subscribing. You haven't already.
Interact
You're checking
with
out the
the
Patreon.
content.
You're doing a whole bunch of different
You know the
stuff.
whole
Thank
deal.
you.
I'm Mike.
Appreciate you. I'm Nick.
We are the Brothers Murph. It's time to talk about gaming discoveries, new to us games.
Yeah, these games are not necessarily new. Like they didn't come out this year.
Yes.
And most of them didn't even come out last year.
Right.
But they're new to us.
Yes, and so this is something that we always do at the end of the year as well. But it's nice to have kind of a mid-year check-in. We have, because of going to conventions, I've tried a bunch of games that are not brand new, but new to us and stuff. And so we want to do a little check-in and see where we're at. So these are some games that are not just having come out, but ones that we're really excited about.
My number 10 is a game we've wanted to play for a while. We actually got the big box version. This is Hansa Teutonica.
Yes, indeed.
Hansa Teutonica is a game about your Teutonicking Hansas.
Yes,
obviously.
like you do.
But this is a game where you're essentially building out routes. It's kind of like a route building game with cubes. It's a very cube heavy game, lots of cubes game,
Yes.
which we love to see. So basically you have a map and then there's all these different routes in between different cities on this map, and you are putting out your cubes, and mostly what you're trying to do is you are trying to have in between two cities, you want to have only your cubes on that trade route. If you fill the whole thing with your cubes, you then get to take them off, and then you get to put like kind of a trading post out on one of the two cities.
Yeah, one of the ends.
But this game is pretty mean because you can just be like, I'm gonna throw one of my cubes on there, and then you now can't do that. You can't displace people's cubes, although it's relatively expensive to do so. So you're just like, you're spike cubing a lot,
a little bit a lot.
and it's pretty good.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, for us, people have asked before, like, is this too mean of a game? Because Nick and I are pretty, like, multiplayer
Care Bears.
solitaire folks. I don't want to mess with your thing. I just want to build a better thing than you're building.
Yes.
But this game, the turns are so fast. You're throwing down these
super
cubes
fast.
and moving on. And it isn't the end of the world to have someone come block you. And in fact, you don't want to let people just run, because there's certain spots that will give you kind of upgrades and
Powers
abilities and
yeah.
stuff. So you don't want to let someone just keep running that thing and keep bumping up those tracks.
Yeah.
So it really does behoove you to kind of put a cube in their way. But the turns are really fast and stuff. So if someone messes with your thing, you're like, okay, well, that's all right. I'm going to work down here. I'll come back to that later.
Yeah.
It's not the
I
end
can
of the
displace
world.
if I need to. Yeah, it's really, it's mean, but it's not like...
It's kind of fun mean.
It's
You're
more,
kind of like,
you can inconvenience people is more
all it
really
is.
what it is.
Yes.
But it's really, really cool. We haven't played any of the other maps. There's a whole bunch of other maps.
Yeah.
I like Hansa Teutonica. I'd probably like it more if you could play it 2 players, but it is 3-player minimum.
Sure. Yeah.
In the original Hansa Teutonica, they had a 2-player variant, but apparently it was really bad. So in the big box, they're like, we're not even going to put it in there. It's a 3-player game.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I respect.
be honest about what your game is. It's okay.
Be honest.
It's okay.
So I do like it a lot. Again, it's quick, it's pretty darn easy, and you're just kind of getting each other's way. It's a good one, and I'm excited to kind of explore some more of the maps. And that's number 10. Let's get to number 9. Our number 9 is a game that I'm hoping it comes to the US. It's kind of
Be great.
been sounding good. This is Comic Hunters.
Yes, this is a game about making a collection of comics, specifically of Marvel comics, and trying to, depending on what's valuable in the game, getting large collections of certain types of heroes, of first editions, or the first time a villain appears, or versus comics. There's all sorts of things, and to facilitate set collection.
Yes.
You're set collecting your collection of comic books. And this game comes down to various types of ways to draft cards, which is really fun.
Yes.
It's depending on the round, you're going to do a card draft, but sometimes it's going to be the standard, like passing cards around.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're going to create a tableau of cards. You're going to be moving one card, and you can take something from a row or a column, all of like one type of character.
Yeah.
Or you can do an auction, you know, for
and then,
a lot of cards.
And then there's also the Kanagawa draft where you put out cards and then you can take a row of cards, but in the first one, there's only gonna be one card there.
Yes.
And then people can take stuff or pass, and then you put out a second card in the rows. And so it gets more and more cards, but sometimes you're like, oh, I really need that Black Widow card.
I'm just going to take it now.
I'm just going to take it now. And
then
so
you're out of the round.
It's got 4 different kinds of drafts, all of which are very cool and kind of interesting. And again, you can collect like all of like, I'm going to get a whole bunch of like Black Panther comics.
Yeah.
Or you can get a whole bunch of like little collections depending on kind of what you're going for. It was really, really fun. This game is from Brazil.
Yes.
And it's not the US because, again, you would have to get licensing from Disney for this one. And although we've kind of been hearing grumblings that maybe it might be coming to the US, I'm really hoping it does because it's really, really fun.
It's really fun. You put out different things. So again, like Spider-Man might be valuable in this game. Black Panther might be valuable in the next one. And there's kind of these tracks you can do. So the icons that come on different comics and stuff will be of more or less interest between different games,
a
and
lot
then what
of
the ways
stuff going on.
those card drafts happen. Yeah, it's really cool. A lot of different fun things happening. But Comic Hunter was really quite a delight.
Very
and something
cool.
I had never heard of prior to playing it at all. So
Yeah,
it was
because
very
it's not
cool.
here, and so it's very, very cool. Shout out to Eric Link for having that one.
Appreciate you.
Love you, brother. And so Comic Hunter's number 9. Hopefully it comes here because I'll be buying it pretty much immediately if it does.
Yes.
It's going to get number 8. So shout out to Matthew Jude. He's been telling us about this game for a couple years now.
I know,
And
yeah.
I just bought it. I saw it, I bought it.
You saw it and you bought it. This is Mystic Paths. So this is a word clue giving game where you are going to make up a board that has a bunch of all over the place words. Samurai and like bread, like all sorts of different things.
All over the place.
And you're going to have a card that is basically going to take you through 10 of those words from the display along a path. So you can go from, again, samurai to bridge to bread to
Terracotta
Jell-O,
Army to
robot.
George Washington to
It's all
the
over
Golden
place.
Gate Bridge to
And so you need to get people to guess clues in that order. And you are going to be giving them clues via cards that you get. So you are limited. It's not like Codenames where you can come up with a clue and then speak that clue. You're going to have cards that you can play out and kind of get people to get the sequence essentially of
and those will mostly be adjectives like shiny or or
gross,
bad or good or whatever, a whole bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, so you have to put these things down, and it's one of those things where you're trying to do the best you can
with what you
with
got.
the cards you got. So if your first thing is Golden Gate Bridge, I'd put shiny for that. I'm like, they're always kind of repainting it. It's really it's
big and metal.
bright. Yeah, I'm like shiny. And so then people are gonna look at the board and be like, they're gonna know you're starting on the edge, but beyond that, who knows? So you're like, I don't know, bridge, but like, what if there's like diamond over there? Like, well, diamond's shiny.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to get people on the path. And once you're on the path, there's only so many words that are adjacent to that space. There's only so many places to go. And you're trying to get the sequence going there. It's really fun. It's really hard because you're limited by those cards. There's gonna be some that are just bad.
Yeah.
You can basically play certain cards upside down to say like, it's not this, it's not shiny. But it's really fun to
It's
kind
really
of
cool. And when you're playing out cards, you're playing out 3 at a time.
Yes.
So you're giving
Ideally to
clues
go like 1,
for the
2,
next
3.
3 spots in your
Yeah,
path.
yeah, yeah.
So one of the things about the game is a lot of the game is looking ahead, being like, okay, I'm not sure what this one is, but let's just say one's like grow or one's shiny, and they're like, okay, but I think shiny would be diamond. So maybe this is this because the
Because
next
that would
be,
get us to diamond.
So it's just really, really cool. I really like the game. It's I like word association games like that.
Yeah.
We love like So Clover, Just One, all those kinds of games. And this fits nicely into those. It's really cool, and I liked it quite a bit.
Yeah, it's fun. It's tricky and difficult. And one we'd recommend if you like those kinds of clue-giving games. That's
Totally.
Mystic Paths.
All right, let's get number 7. Number 7 is a solo-only game about Shakespeare.
Yeah,
And this
baby.
is Black Sonata.
Absolutely. Here you are trying to find out who Shakespeare's girlfriend is.
Pretty much.
Basically, who is Shakespeare's muse.
Yeah.
This person that kind of inspired all of Shakespeare's sonnets and stuff.
Yes.
So this is a game where, I guess you're just a beat reporter.
I suppose,
walking around.
You're trying to figure out, who.
There's this mysterious lady wandering London, and this is a solo deduction game where basically this lady is going to be moving. It's hidden movement, but they're going to be moving in a sort of pre-designated path.
Yes.
They're going to be going from this location to that location, that location to this location.
It's dictated by cards. You don't know the path, but it is a pre-designated path.
Yes, but each of these locations will basically have a couple of like identifiers,
Yes.
icons and stuff, and you can do some investigation to realize like, oh, they went to like one of the money places. Like, okay, there's only 4 of those spots. And then based on other icons you've gotten before, it might make it so that like they can only be down here because they are by the water before. Now they're in a money spot, so they have to be either here or here. And you can kind of get on the trail.
Yes.
And really what you want to do is get your figure into such a point that you intersect and you kind of catch them in the moment.
She's got to come to you.
She's got to come to you. And if she comes to you and you make a correct guess, you kind of get a glimpse at her and you get a little bit of information. And if you can do that enough times, you'll find out that like, oh, this person is married. They're connected to royalty. There's all these sort of identifiers. And if you get like 2 or 3 of them, I think at that point you'll minimize it down to like, there can only be one person who this is. And that's what you're trying to do before
It's like
time
a pool
runs
of like
out.
10 women
Yeah.
that it potentially could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's really fun to kind of figure out that trail. How do I get on the trail? How do I get ahead of the trail to meet, this dark lady and get that information, and then start to do kind of like a Turing machine or search for Planet X, where you're like, okay, well, based on these identifiers and stuff, it cannot be these people. It might be these people. Let me test this over here to see if I can get this third kind of information point. So you get that fun kind of moment where you go like, it all whittles down. It's like, it can only be this one person. So
And then you got to find them again. So the thing is,
Yes.
what I like about this game is like the deduction is not hard. Like it's not hard to figure out who they are. The hard part is getting them to come to you. Because again, to do kind of an accusation or try to see the flash of a wedding ring, they have to come to you. So it's like, that's where it is. Trying to get in the right position is the hard part, but it's also not difficult. Like, thereafter, like you see her, she'll move away. You don't know where she is, but within 1 or 2 turns of her moving, you're gonna know where she is again, or at least you're gonna have it broken down to like she can be here or here, basically. And so it's the deduction is easy. The tough part is the hidden movement, and it's just really, really fun. And there's a whole bunch of different routes that she can go. Some of the routes are easier, some are like much, much harder. It's really, really, really fun. And it's a solo only game with a cool theme. And Black Sonata rocks, and it's number 7. Let's get number 6.
Nick, you know what I love?
What?
Houseplants.
Yeah.
All right, number 6 is Verdant.
Indeed.
This is
This technically came out last year. It feels like it came out a while ago. I don't know why.
Yeah, maybe we heard about it for a while.
Maybe, yeah.
Anyway, so Verdant is kind of in a line of games. You have Calico, Cascadia, Verdant, made by the same pool of designers with wonderful Beth Sobel art and stuff. And this one's all about putting houseplants in your house and getting them to have the right kind of light. Because some plants want full light. Some want to be in the shade, want to be half light and stuff. So you're placing out these cards in alternating fashion. We're going to have like a plant in a room and a plant in a room. So we're going to create this kind of checkerboard pattern. And you are trying to get verdancy, or basically trying to get as much of the right kind of light and growth on a plant as possible to complete that plant's growth. You put a little pot on it worth points.
Boom.
And then you also are trying to decorate your rooms with wonderful items and furniture and pets and things like that, and making matches of colors to plants and rooms and stuff like that. So it's kind of a big old puzzle of efficiency and synergy.
Yep. Yeah, and then every room, so it's like yellow rooms and blue rooms, there are yellow plants and blue plants. And so around those rooms, you want the same color plant. So it's just this really tough puzzle because it's got, again, it's really a mix between Cascadia and Calico, where it's like, there's some Cascadia natures where you're gonna choose a room and a decoration thing, or a plant and a decoration, or a room and a decoration, and they're matched up kind of like Cascadia. But then it's got the restrictiveness of Calico, where you can only place things in certain spots. You think can only be, I think it's 5 by 3.
Yeah, it can only be 3 things high.
So you're limited. So it's kind of mixed between those two things. I really, really like it for that. Yeah. Because Calico for me is a little too brutal, a little too, I do like Calico, but it's a little too restrictive. Cascadia I really, really, really like. But Cascadia is very open. It's very chill, very open. Verdant is a really nice mix between those two things of being restrictive, but not so restrictive like Calico is, and still having some openness like Cascadia. And it's really, really fun. But that puzzle is tough. Yeah. Because you're looking at, like, you need the right kind of light. You want the right kind of plants next to the right room. You want the right kind of stuff in those rooms. And you have to build out this checkerboard pattern. It's tough. It's really tough, but I love it. Yeah, it's really got a lot of fun stuff. You get these like tools and things to help you out. It does hit that midpoint really well. So if we want a little more crunch than Cascadia, we'll go to this. And it's really pretty and stuff. All the plants are really nice. Gorgeous. So Verdant's our number 6. Indeed. Let's hop into number 5. Number 5 is a game we actually have had for a little bit now because our friend gave it to us. We finally got it played. And this is Space Station Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix, Arizona, where all the space station stuff happens. Exactly. Everyone knows everyone knows this. UFOs and things. Space Station Phoenix is a game where you're building out a space station. Everyone's going to start with like a hub, and everyone's going to have kind of a different ability that's in that hub, and then you're building out space stations, getting aliens to come and live on the space station. So it's a very friendly game in terms of that. Like it's not like you're not like out like fighting alien stuff. There's a bunch of alien races along with Terrans who are all cohabitating. Cohabitating on these things, and you're buying these different like sectors, and like the pink sectors where like the pink aliens go, and the teal sectors where the teal aliens go. And then on those sectors, you're trying to put it in these inhabitants because it's essentially going to give you more powers or more income and stuff. And so you are doing that. You do that by activating your different ships with gems. Yeah, your ships, you have a fleet of ships, and they're basically your worker placement spaces. And you have like one of your little workers that goes around to activate them, but everything has a cost. And these gems, you have to pay a certain amount of gems to be able to make use of this. You're kind of managing that, and it's a little bit of a kind of closed economy situation. I can also use your ships, but I have to pay you a little extra. So it's like, is it worth that cost? There's also some neutral ships and things as well. So as long as you have those gems, you can play these actions, and they're all kind of fairly similar. You can do kind of Terran explorations where you go down to Earth and you basically gather resources. You can build parts of the space station.
and things like that. And again, you're trying to populate it with people and aliens from across the galaxy.
Yep.
And as you build out, you start off with a little bit of asymmetry from that hub of your space station. And as you build out sections of that space station, they're going to give you endgame scoring opportunities,
a whole bunch of stuff.
worker placement spaces, perpetual abilities, all sorts of things. So you, as you go, kind of build into more and more of a specific set of powers, and you can really maximize. Like one time I had all sorts of benefits by placing Terran folks into my space station. I had endgame scoring things, bonus abilities, so I just really went heavy into that strat, and you can kind of build your own funky engine literally out of the space station that you're making.
Yeah, and when you use a spot, you put the gems on there, and they stay there, and so you don't get to take them off until you do income. When you income, you essentially are to remove all of those, and then you get to activate all your different income, and it's really, really cool. But there's also a big part of it where you need metal to build out these sectors, which is one of the ways the game ends.
Yeah.
But metal can really only come from dismantling ships. So one of your actions is going to be dismantling your other ships and gaining their metal. But then you don't have those worker placement spots anymore. So it's this really interesting balance, and it's also cool because there's like a whole bunch of different sectors.
Yeah.
There is like of the hubs that you start with. There's like 24 of those.
Yeah.
Like there's
certain
all this variability.
Certain
in the game.
ship cards that are your action spots will be standard. Everyone has, but then there's like 3 or
Way
4 that
more.
are also only for your character. So there's a ton of variety and versatility in this.
Really,
setup.
really fun game. This game went whoop, straight under the radar.
Should not
We'd
have.
never even heard of it until our friend gave it to us, saying like, "Hey, I think
Learn
you'd like
this."
this." And so we're like, "Okay." It's really, really, really fun. Space Station Feast, check it out. It's on BGA. It's a really good implementation on BGA. It's really, really fun. It's number 5. Let's get number 4. Number 4 is a game that we've been wanting to play for a while. It's an Uwe classic. This is Glass Road.
Yes, it is.
Finally got Glass Road played.
The Uwe goodness. This is one that we found to be at least a 2-player on the quicker side.
Yes, it's kind of new sword length.
Yes, but feels very different for an Uwe game because this one you have like a roster of these 15 action cards, these character cards. You're going to choose 5 of them to play, and you're going to get 3 actions on a turn for sure by playing out those cards. And when you go to play those cards, you want to be the only person that has selected that card.
Yes.
So you're kind of doing that little bit of simultaneous selection, outwitting your
Each
opponent.
card has 2 actions. And
2
if you're
actions.
alone, you get to do both.
Correct. But then you also, if someone else, like if I played a card that you have, you're going to present that card as well.
If I also chose it, yeah.
If you also chose it and stuff. So I'll only get 1 action, but you'll get an action out of that. So you kind of want to put a couple cards in your hand. You're like, you know what? I don't really need to do this action myself. But if someone else selects and I get to do one of the actions, that'll be great for me. And you're doing this to collect resources, build tiles out onto your little player board, clear areas of forest, and all sorts of things like that. But there's this really interesting kind of dial system where as you're gaining goods, the various kind of coal and food and things like that, if you ever clear a space and there's nothing next to kind of one of the, like, it looks like hands of a clock almost. If there's nothing next to the hands of a clock, it'll shift, and that's going to basically produce
glass and I think bricks.
Glass and brick and stuff.
Which
so
is
these
like
advanced,
the advanced materials.
These advanced materials. So there's this like really interesting dual dial system where you kind of want to clear stuff out so it creates those bricks. But as you do that, that's essentially if I had like 2 coal and all of a sudden the dial meets it, now I have 0 coal because that was what produced this brick.
And everything,
it's
so
really
like
fascinating.
If you had like 1, 2, 3, 4, you had them in a line and it goes boom, and then you basically, to make a glass, it takes 1 of each resource. And again, you can only make a glass if there's a space in between 0 and 1. And so when it goes boom, it essentially automatically paid
Lowers
all of those
the
for
value,
you. And it's really, really weird and interesting. And I really like it.
And there's the fact that those dials, I'm like, that it works because now all these things are lowered by 1, and I have 1 of these. That is the cost of that. So it's just really neat to kind of play with. And those are kind of the advanced resources, which get you the better tiles to build.
Yeah.
Those tiles that you can build might give you like a one-time thing, end game scoring, all sorts of stuff like that.
Typical
But it's a
Uwe
nice, snappy Uwe Rosenberg game. Gives you some of those feels of those types of games while doing something different because that kind of simultaneous selection of the cards is very different.
Tough, yeah.
But it's a snappy
Super
game.
good. Yeah, we got to pick this one up. Capstone carries it now. We gotta get it because I really, really liked it, and it's fun. It's really, really fun.
Yeah.
That's Glass Road number 4. Let's go ahead and get number 3.
Number 3 is a game called Nana or Trio.
It's gonna be Trio,
it's coming out here. This has been described to us, and I do think it's an apt description. It's Gamers Go Fish.
Yeah.
This is a game, a
Shockingly fun.
memory game ultimately.
Yeah.
Where you're going to have a hand of cards, and you're going to order them from low to high, and the numbers are 1 through 12.
Yep.
And then on a turn, you're going to try to collect all 3 of one of the numbers. There's 3 copies of 1s and 2s and 3s.
They'll all be out.
They'll all be out.
Yeah.
There's some cards in the middle as well that you can flip over and make a guess at. But the thing is, when you go to ask somebody about a certain card that they have, you can only ask them to reveal their lowest numbered card or their highest numbered card. So I say, Nick, what's your highest numbered card? You put down on the table a 12. I might have a 12 as well. So I say, Mike, what's your highest numbered card? I have a 12. Maybe I have another 12. I say, Mike, what's your highest numbered card? I put down a third 12. And if you get all three of a number, then you complete that challenge. Yep. But say Nick's highest card was an 11. I ask Susie over here, what's your highest card? It's a 10. Now we have two different numbers. The challenge has failed. Everyone picks their cards back up. But now we've all learned a little bit about who has what.
Yes, and that's a big part of it. It's a bit of a memory game where you're like, oh gosh, who had the 8? I saw an 8. I think it was John had an 8. Okay. So you're like, John, what was your highest card? Oh, they had a 9. Crap, who had the 8? And so it's like this really tough, and there's cards on the table, and there'll be more cards on the table depending on the player count. And so you could be like, table, what's this card? You flip over that card. So some of the cards will be in the middle, and you're trying to get to 3 challenges. That's how you win the game. Yeah. Or you can win it with 2 challenges if the sum or the
difference of the things you have is 7.
Equals 7. So if you'd won the 3 challenge, like all 3 3s and then all 3 4s, those together equal 7, and you can win with 2. Or if you happen to collect all 3 7s, you just win automatically. Yeah. But 7s are almost always going to be in the middle of people's hands.
It's going to be hard to get access to them.
And you can only ask for the highest lowest card, so it's harder to do that. So it's so much fun. It's like we played it so many times with so many different people at this point, and it's just like, I don't know, it just goes over so well. You think like Gamers Go Fish doesn't sound that great. Yeah. And it is incredible. I mean, this is like, I love it so much. I like it. I think it's an absolutely incredible game. And it's like this big, so it's
tiny,
like you go anywhere.
Easy to
explain. But
explain.
again, it's coming out as Trio, although I like the art in the original. It's originally from Japan. The original one better. And I think the box is also like a lot bigger in Trio.
Might be, yeah.
And so I'm also like, I like the Nana one. But Nana, Trio, it's going to be the same game. It's really, really outstanding.
Super fun. Check it out for sure.
Number 2 is a game where you can be all fancy.
You do. Well, you're trying to be fancy once again. You're a British family that's fallen on hard times, meaning you're only slightly super wealthy. This is Obsession.
Exactly.
So this is a game where you are basically putting on events around your home, inviting guests over. You're trying to have the most kind of influential, amazing, fun, and very wealthy friends, and manage them and your kind of roster of servants, your butlers and your head maids and things like that, who are tending to these folks because they're pretty high maintenance, to be fair. But you're doing that by putting on events. So you're putting on like, we're gonna go bowling on the greens today, and that's gonna help give you some money. And the cool thing is that when you take an action, it's gonna tell you how many cards you must play and what type of cards. Because some activities might only be for the gentlemen, some might be only for the ladies, some might be only for your family members, some might be for gentry, which just means anybody can come to this event. And you're going to be getting new tiles, which give you access to new types of actions to take. And everything's going to come down to kind of giving you money, giving you reputation, or giving you access to draw more guests to come in, which are all going to be worth points and stuff. Some might lose you points, of course. And you're kind of managing, again, the cards you have as you play them out, the roster of like, what servants do I have available today? Who can I use to kind of play out these certain cards? Because I have to play them on a card. If they require a valet, they're not getting played unless they have a valet to tend to them. And you're kind of working on when to pass and recoup all that stuff. So there's some kind of puzzliness there with like how and what you are allowed to play and when, and the requirements of a certain activity. But it's all about gaining wealth and prosperity, and you're trying to court the fair child. You're going through different seasons of courtship where you want to have everything going tip top of your family, so the fair child's come to you for the season. It's very kind of Downton Abbey. And it's really fun. It's really fun to get into the kind of role play.
And the game itself is just really outstanding. It's just, it's so cool. Every family you're playing is slightly different. They're all pretty much the same, but it's like, and it feels different. Like we played this game a number of times, and like every time I'm like, man, this just doesn't feel like any other game. It's just like, it's like essentially like worker placement. You're getting cards, you're playing those cards. Like there's a lot of normal mechanics in it, but it just, the way it works, it just feels, it's just built different. It's just built different. Like
it's a really nice production. Everything is put together nicely.
It's just cool. It's just and it's so good. This is a game where we first played. I could not stop thinking about it. I was like, this is so interesting.
You're obsessed.
Yeah, Obsession is really, really good. I'm so happy to have it. It's really, really awesome. Yeah, and it's our number 2. It's not our number 1 though. So let's get to number 1. Number 1, I think, is going to be Mike's top 10 of all time.
Maybe this is Combine EV, baby.
That's my guess.
I think so. I think it's a chance. This is a Vitale Lacerda game. We've been entering into the world of heavier gaming recently.
As we call it.
The Vitaleverse, the Vitale Extended Universe.
Yeah.
And Kanban EV was one that was recommended for us to start with. If we're going to try a Lacerda game, Kanban EV is a great entry point, and I could not agree more. Out of the ones we've played so far, which are only a few, Kanban seems like a great choice. So this is a game where you're working in a car factory making electric vehicles. That's the EV part there. This is kind of a redo of Kanban, with just a couple of really aesthetic changes, not really much in the game in the way of gameplay. But Kanban EV is just really fun. You are trying to manage your jobs. You're going to different departments every day. You have to move to a different department. You have a boss who's coming in and evaluating, basically whoever's done the least training, they're evaluating their work to see like, well, are you at least producing? And if not, you're going to be losing points and stuff. And you are creating designs for cars, getting car parts available to then to fuel the assembly of vehicles, and then to put them on the test track to do testing, bringing them into your garages for further testing and completing the designs. And so what's really fun about this one is that there's a kind of a linear flow with the game that makes sense. Like if I wanted to get a car, I need to have a design for that car. If I want to do an upgrade on the design stuff, I need to have some car parts to pair with that design to upgrade the drivetrain. So I'll need to find a drivetrain car piece. There's things like that just like make sense. And the kind of flow of getting in the car, assembling some car, going to test track, bring it to your garage with an upgraded design, There's just a thing that helps make sense. So you have this heavier game, but at least there's like a lot of intuition, I feel like, that you can apply.
Yeah, it makes sense, whatever you're doing.
Yeah, and it makes sense and satisfying in that way. Like, that's kind of what it would be like, I think, to work in this kind of job. Like, these are some of the things that you would have to pay attention. There's a certain kind of order of operations that you probably ought to go through a little bit in order to be successful. So it's just really fun. I love the look of it. Tool art, of course. That pairing of Tool and Vitale Lacerda is just like one of the best that I've ever seen in games. It just is really fun to play. And I feel like for a big, heavier game, one that's a little easier to get into, because as you're doing stuff, you're like, yes, that makes sense. That makes sense that's how that would work.
Figuring out what you can do, figuring out what you should do in this game is particularly tough. But like,
it's not hard to understand what you can do.
Yeah, it's not that. It's for a Vitale Lacerda game, right? It's not like a gateway game by any stretch of imagination. It's still a big, heavy game. But yeah, it's just, it is so good. It's just so much fun. Especially like we've played it again a number of times now, and it took for me like 3 plays to really for me to start being able to see the matrix and really start to put stuff together. And then it's just like, man, this is so good. It's just so much fun to try and work that engine and try and, in the Vitale Lacerda games are usually about efficiency in some way or another. And same with this one, you're trying to you're like, oh gosh, I have to go over here and do this thing that's just gonna take turns, and you're trying to get stuff ready for the meetings that are gonna happen and the scoring, and it's just so dang good. I mean, it is really an incredible game. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. It's one of the best marriages of like game mechanisms and themes,
which is what Vitale Lacerda
reinforcing
known
each other,
for, right?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Making big thematic Euros.
Yes, and this one I think hits it. I just love that you have like work meetings. You have to present ideas, which are just like, I've worked on this part of the game. I've done these things, so I get points. But I like the idea. It's just like, yeah, maybe like, what if we had like city cars? And you're like, points for you. That's what I like to hear.
Good idea, Johnson.
Yeah, and so it's just like, I just love the theming. It makes me laugh that you have this boss that you're like, have to impress.
Yeah, totally.
It's like, that's pretty real to life too. So
yeah, it's really, really good. I'm very excited to continue exploring Vitale Lacerda games, but this one is just like, it's gonna be hard for one to top this one. It's so dang. We got a couple more that we need to play, but yeah, Kanban EV is incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
It's so good. And that's why it's number 1 on our list, and that is our list, in fact, friends.
Indeed. So down in the comments, make sure to put down what's your favorite new to you game this year or last year, something that's relatively new to you.
Yeah, new to you, something that's a game discovery. Again, these are all from not 2023 because we just touched on
most
all the
of these
games
are from
this
before
year.
2022 as well. Yeah,
it's just fun to look back. There's so many great games out there, and it's impossible to get them all to them in the year they come out. So,
well, yeah, especially we're in the U.S., so a lot of times these are European games. And they don't come here sometimes for 6 months later. So yeah, we just got to wait for them.
Absolutely.
But Thank you so much. You can see our patrons have been scrolling by here. Thank you so much to our patrons for fueling this whole operation. We really
Thank you so
appreciate you.
much.
We have some cool stuff over on Patreon. Make sure to check it out. There'll be a link down in the description below. Again, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And that's our top 10 gaming discoveries, Mikey.
That's the newest to usest games that we love. We want to hear yours in the comments below. Until next time, I'm Mike.
I'm Nick.
We'll catch you all in the next one.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much for watching this top 10 new to us games. Down in the comments, make sure to let us know what game is new to you that you really, really enjoy. And make sure to check out the other top 10s on the right side of your screen right there. And you have yourself a great, great rest of your day. Okay, bye.